We have an amazing guest, and I'm
Yes.
so grateful that she came in.
Me too.
On a rainy day.
On a rainy day.
Yeah,
On a
no
rainy
less. Jennifer Ravan, St. Johns County Tax Collector. Welcome to our studio.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Of course.
So Jennifer, you've been with the county a couple weeks now. It's like something. How many years is
Just
it?
a hot minute. I've
Yeah.
been with the tax collector's office for 31 years.
Wow.
Since 1994. In 2008, I became Dennis Hollingsworth's assistant tax collector. And then in January, I took office as the tax collector.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So and you obviously had your eye on what was going on because you're close with the county. You get your budget from the Board of County Commissioners. The question I had for you, like driving in today, I was like, you're an elected official.
Correct.
All right. Joy's appointed by the
board.
5 board members. Which do you think is easier? I mean, yesterday it seemed like it was an easy answer, but every 4 years you still have to fight for your position too. So what do you think? And you ran unopposed.
I did. I was very blessed that I ran unopposed.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there was no one else for the job. You were the
Aw,
right, you were the
thank
right
you.
person for the job.
Thank
I mean,
you.
You know, so
Yeah. I feel like if you do the job well and you prove that to the citizens of St. Johns County, then, they're going to have trust in you. So I feel like that may be a little bit easier
Yeah.
than a small group of people.
and you had an amazing mentor boss.
I did.
And so can you tell us a little bit about Dennis and what you learned? I mean, you were there with him for 31 years. So what is some of the life lessons and the boss, now you're the boss, lessons you learned from Dennis that you think make you a better person and a better boss?
So the first thing that I would like to say is our budget is approved by the Department of Revenue. So Florida Department of Revenue. So it's not approved by the Board of County Commissioners. And that was a big deal to Dennis, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Turns out that's amazing.
That's a wonderful thing.
Yes.
Prognosticated.
But, I worked in every department of the tax collector's office. So he was a wonderful mentor. I feel like he was very innovative. And now we need to catch up with the growth in St. Johns County. We have fallen behind there. But as far as the operation of the tax collector's office, I mean, it's innovation, it's integrity, it's expertise. So when you come in, we want you to be served efficiently. And the ultimate goal, of course, is whatever window you come up to, that customer service representative is going to be able to do whatever you need done. So that's the efficiency of the office, and just always learning. And then any way we can be innovative, we want to do that.
Well, you proved that to me just a couple weeks ago. I went in there to register the trucks.
Right.
And we were able to figure out that the Beast, or 904 truck, is an antique.
Yes.
It is an antique.
So it ended up saving me like
$225.
Yeah, $225.
Yes.
So it was awesome.
I said, I have good news for you.
So
like good
she
news.
came over and gave me the great news on her.
Yeah.
So it was really, really wonderful. But
So you're why we get paid then.
yeah, you got paid this week.
Yay.
Was it $225?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was pretty close.
Very close.
It was pretty close.
Yeah.
What's one of the biggest obstacles you face? Because you've now been in the position 6 months. What's one of the biggest obstacles you faced with the transition of your position?
So the transition was just thankfully so smooth because I had been there so long, and Dennis just put me in wonderful positions to be ready for this. However, it's the growth in St. Johns County. We are growing, and our tax collector offices have not. So we are, our waits now are unheard of for St. Johns County. And you're coming in, it may be an hour and a half. And we are really working to improve that wait time. So if you come in, we're trying to renovate some of our offices to make better use of the space. We're trying to hire some more employees, which again, we're approved through Department of Revenue. So we have to have the number of employees that we can hire approved through the Department of Revenue.
Wow.
But we're working on that through our budget. And then we're also looking to expand to a couple new locations just to alleviate some of the offices that are the busiest, and so they'll have another option to go to.
How many different offices do you have in the county?
We have 4.
Okay.
So we have our main office location at 4030 Lewis Speedway. We have an office location in Ponte Vedra. We have an office location in Julington Creek, and then DuPont Center down at 206, right behind the library.
Okay.
The offices, the satellite offices, because I'm assuming this one's much bigger, and you have like over here you have like 16 windows or something like that. How many windows would you have at those alternate offices down there?
We would try. So on average, we have about 10. Julington Creek is our second biggest office. We have 14 windows there.
Okay.
A lot of people don't realize that we also serve 5 executive branches of state government. So we are a state agency as well. So although we collect property taxes and business tax receipts and tourist development on the local level, we serve these state agencies. And so as agents of those, we serve Duval County residents, Putnam County residents. So, you can come into our offices and cross the state line and come in. And that does add to our wait times. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people will say, oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah. But, we're here to serve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So I sit on the TDC board, and I have this question because I still think there's a disconnect between the Airbnb companies, mm-hmm. like Airbnb and VRBO and those companies. They have a button on their thing where it says, "Oh, we'll collect it for you," but you actually have to ask for it back at our tax collectors. And we're one of like 4 or 5 counties that don't accept it from Airbnb
Correct.
and from VRBO.
Right.
It's up to the individual to pay you. What was the reason why you didn't accept it from Airbnb and VRBO?
Sure.
What was that reasoning? Because I know we're a little different than some other counties that do.
Absolutely. So we do not have an agreement with Airbnb or VRBO. Like you said, the taxpayer pays the tax collector directly. Mm-hmm. If we had an agreement with Airbnb, they just send us a check. And we don't have any way to enforce if everyone is paying as they should. So currently, we do use a third party that goes out and looks for stays. And so we can verify if they're actually renting or not renting. And if they have an account, that's great. And they're, remitting their monthly fee and tax. But Airbnb would just send us a check. So if you're paying and you're doing as you're supposed to do, and your neighbor's not, but they're renting out, we don't have a way to know what that address is, what their stays were, how much they owe. So it's really just to enforce mm-hmm. and make sure that we're collecting the money that we need to collect.
Well, I can tell you, they make it seem like they're paying it when you first and until I kind of delved into it, I had to go back and ask for that money back from them, mm-hmm. and then because I owed back. Mm-hmm. It was really bad. I was sitting on the tourist development board at the time, and I owed back taxes yeah. on my collection of the TDT tax. And so, I mean, is there a way that we can kind of get them to stop? Because I know there was some type of lawsuit with Airbnb and
with several counties,
with several different counties.
Yeah.
The way you do it seems the most legal way, but I think there's a deception between those two. And
there is.
I don't think we're collecting what we should be collecting in that sense because of their deception, not because of yours. So I'm just wondering if do you think there's anything we can do?
We do try to spread the message that because it's a question we get asked every day by people that do rent and have a tourist development account, and we do get asked, hey, I paid it through Airbnb. So we do explain to them that we do not have an agreement with them. They do not remit funds to us, and we explain why. So we try to get the message out. We try to insert, flyers into some different things that we send out mm-hmm. to let them know that it just needs to be paid directly to the tax collector's office. I think that it would be easy because Airbnb does advertise and they do have those buttons out there. Hey, we will collect for you. But when we're not allowing them to remit it to us, then we're not receiving the money. And ultimately it does fall on the taxpayer.
And I'll tell you this, when I knew to ask for it back, they just, it was like,
Oh, good.
you caught us.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was kind of like, oh, you caught us.
Right.
We're just getting interest on your money.
They're just over there making money, knowing that they're not paying
Absolutely.
these counties. I mean, they're holding on to that money. If you don't ask for it, they keep it.
It really feels like they need to disclose that.
Yeah.
Because that is shady.
Yeah. No, I thought it was super shady.
It is.
So, and like I said, I was in the know. At least I thought I was.
Yeah, but then still not you.
I evidently wasn't. But I had to ask for it back, and if you don't ask for it back, you don't get it.
Yeah.
So I don't have Airbnbs anymore.
Yeah.
I'm all I went with the long term stuff.
Yeah.
So
Airbnbs feel like a lot of work.
yeah, it's a little work. Of the taxes you collect, I mean, you also do driver's license. You do a lot of different things. Which one is the most challenging for your office? It's like, oh, it's that's the one I got to balance, because you have so many things you have to balance, so many different taxes, so many different things that you do at your office. What's one of the most challenging things that you do at your office on a daily basis? If I'm sitting at the counter, I'm hired by you.
Right. Right. So everything is driven by statute. Everything we do is, driven by statute, and that's how we operate. However, I would say probably driver's license and vehicle registrations and titles, because it changes all the time. Okay. They're constantly updating the procedures. The legislature will change laws, every year. And so just keeping up with what's current and what changed and what didn't change, and how we're supposed to issue this kind of license versus this kind of license, I would say that's the most challenging for us.
Okay. We do have a question in the audience. Bobby Giles wants to know, how did DMV come under the tax collector? When he moved here in 96, it was in a separate building, and now it's together.
So in 1998, we've always done titles and registration. So we've always been an agent of FLHSMV for that. In 1998, St. Johns County tax collector was one of the first offices to take over driver license services. Okay. And the state was looking to expand and more efficiently serve these customers. So in 1998, actually, when we moved out to this building, we took over driver's license that year, and slowly other tax collectors' offices came on board. And now there's only like one state office that does driver's license. Tax collectors now do driver's license services.
Yeah, that used to be awful.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know it. It's right. It's still right there. The building's still there.
The old FEC building.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's still right there. It's right near the railroad as you're going back into town on US 1. It's that building where you're like, I wonder what's in there. Yeah. That's what it was. That's what it was. So, and it was a small little building, and you just kind of sat in there, and a lot of times you had to sit outside because there wasn't enough room in there, and it was.
So I brag on how amazing our DMV is.
Thank you.
Because the DMV, it's kind of a joke across, the world that it's a terrible place to be. Like it makes movies and comic strips. I mean, it's a stereotype for a reason. But when I had to come to the DMV in St. Johns County when I first moved here in 2004, I couldn't believe it. It was so efficient. It was comfortable. So, and it's always stayed that way, even with growth. I've never had a problem or a long wait. I've never had anyone treat me badly there, which is also the stereotype of DMV.
Yes.
So,
it's like the soup, like the soup Nazi.
Yes. Yes.
All right. One thing I noticed last time I was there, and it was just a couple weeks ago, what I was talking about. You used to only have chairs over here. Now you have chairs there and in where the cafe was. Right. And is that just part of the growth of St. Johns County that you've had to do that? It is partly. The cafe left the building, and we haven't found another one. So when that space became available, we realized, hey, we could put some chairs over here too to make people more comfortable. But you're right, the chairs are filling up, whereas that wasn't even an issue before. Now both chairs are filling up. So, but that's why we put them over there. Just the space was available and to accommodate the customers.
And actually, I do have a question about the DMV myself, because I know last month the real ID deadline was in effect on May 7th.
Right.
So how busy was the DMV like the days leading up to it, and that day when the deadline was about to happen?
Sure. So we did become busier because everyone was rushing down to get that gold star on their license to become Real ID compliant. But don't fret. If you are not Real ID compliant, you're still legal to drive. It's to fly and to enter federal buildings.
Yeah.
So if you're going to fly and you don't have the Real ID star on your license, you will have to go through some extra security measures at the airport. Have a passport, have a birth certificate. But yes, we did become a little more busy because everybody was coming down there to meet that deadline.
Yeah.
So Jennifer, you say you have 4 different locations. What does your staff look like, and what does your normal annual budget look like?
Our annual budget is about $8 million.
Okay.
And staffing, we're at 78 full-time employees right now, but we're looking to increase that somewhat.
Yeah, to kind of help with the ease that hour and a half down to 45 minutes.
Yes. But we are running out of space, right? So we're running out of seats at each location. So that's why I'm looking to expand and open some new locations.
Excellent. What's one of the locations like? We have such a high population in the Northwest. Are you looking at like World Golf Village, which seems like it's now starting to really take off with Silverleaf? What are some of the areas that you feel you need to be closer to the people?
Our Julington Creek office is our second busiest office, so we're looking up in that area. Silverleaf, Julington Creek area, maybe a little closer to World Golf Village. We haven't quite found anything yet, but we are looking.
Okay. With the DRIs, in thinking of this, with the DRIs, development of regional impacts, a lot of times they have to come in and they have to give land for like fire stations and schools and parks. And how do you get your name on that list?
We work with the county, so we do prefer to go to a county location, right? So all of our locations are actually another county service center except for Ponte Vedra.
Okay.
But when they're looking to, we do try to stay away from like the fire stations and the sheriff's offices, only because we're going to have a lot of traffic coming in and out. And if they have to go to an emergency call, we don't want to put that mix together. Yeah. But the other offices, for example, we share some office space in Julington Creek and Ponte Vedra with the St. Johns County clerk so that they can offer services at those locations as well.
That makes sense.
Here at the main office, we have the property appraiser's office. Well, there's a whole campus of all of the elected officials here. And so we look for that to piggyback with whatever they might be building. We're like, hey, can you build us an office there as well? So that's what we're working on right now, is looking for where they're going in the future so that maybe we can go there as well.
And you started 31 years ago,
right?
When they opened this office over here, we were like, we're never going to fill this.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Coming from downtown, which was such a wonderful place to work. I was born and raised here.
Yeah.
So it was so cool to go downtown to work. And coming out here, it was like, wow, this is a whole new world. And for sure, just never thought we'd see the traffic that we see now.
Because you were in the old Casa Monica building.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
that's wild.
Yes.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, you weren't here when Casa
wasn't
Monica.
here at that point.
Yeah.
No. But my husband worked for Casa Monica, and so he told me about the stories about it being a government building, and it still kind of blew my mind because at that point it was the Casa Monica, right? And so it's so crazy the how all of the buildings have been used and the evolution of what they've been used for over time.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I was in the Taj Mahal, which is what it was called yesterday, like where the county administration building is, because it sits up on a hill, and it was
right. And when they built it, it was just so big.
It was so big. It was so big, and now it's completely not big enough.
Yeah,
right.
And they're having to find other space everywhere, and then they built the other building. And now they're doing the permit building. That was why'd you build that big building? And now it's completely full.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just wondered if you had that same feeling when you moved in from downtown to there, like, we'll never fill this.
Absolutely. We were like, we have plenty of space and plenty of room, and and we have definitely outgrown it.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
So, Dennis was the guy the whole time you were there.
He was tax collector for 40 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's been tax collector pretty much since I've been here.
Since 1985.
Yeah. So I got here in 87. Right. So do you see yourself being tax collector? I mean, not 40 years. But
not 40 years, yeah.
But I mean, do you see yourself, I would love for this to be your last job.
Absolutely.
I don't see anyone coming in. But how long? Because you're a state employee, right?
I am, yes.
So you're in FRS.
Correct.
Okay, so
correct. Yes.
There's great incentive to be.
There is, yeah. No, definitely. I will retire, as the tax collector. So, but I hope for. As long, like you said, it's an elected position.
Yes.
So, but I hope to be here several more years.
Yeah, I don't remember Dennis ever having somebody run against him.
Opposition. I think he had it one year, like the first year he ran, he had opposition. Uh-huh. And we were looking through some of those newspaper articles as I was gearing up to, qualify and all that good stuff. And it was so interesting. It really was how it was so different back then. Mm-hmm. But yeah, since then he never had opposition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And rightfully so.
Right.
You shouldn't either.
Thank you. Thank you.
Either. Any other questions out there in the?
I haven't seen any. There's a lot of reminiscing of where things were back in the day.
Yes, hey, I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
It is kind of interesting. It's such a conservative county, and conservatives aren't known for being the most appreciative of taxes. And so to have such popular tax collectors in this county, or a history of popular tax collectors, I think it really speaks to the merit and the integrity of how the office is run.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. We do have a question from Bobby, though.
Awesome.
Another question from Bobby. His question is, can she explain giving back money at the end of the fiscal year from the tax department?
Sure. Absolutely. So the tax collector's office, their main function is to collect, invest, and distribute. Okay. So like I said, our budget is approved through the Department of Revenue. We are a fee office. Mm-hmm. We are self-sufficient. So we operate on fees and services that we collect. Mm-hmm. So we collect those fees through these services we offer. Like I was saying, we serve 5 executive branches of government. We collect property taxes, tangible taxes, business tax receipts, tourist development taxes. So we take what we collect and we invest that money. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the year, or actually throughout the year, per statute, we have to distribute that money. We have 67 taxing authorities that we distribute money to. Mm-hmm. And so we take the money that we have earned and we distribute that back out to the taxing authorities. And the county is one of them and our biggest taxing authority.
All right. Great question.
Yeah.
All right. When stuff hits, and one of the things that hit yesterday is them removing the 2.5 cents on commercial rental properties. Do you have somebody that just keeps an eye on that? Because things change constantly, and sometimes there's landlords. I bet there's landlords out today that are still charging like 6.5% on commercial, and it's changed 3 times since then. How do you kind of monitor that and make sure that that's all on the up and up?
Everybody's on the up and up. So with, let's go back to tourist development for a moment, right? We do use a third party company, and we go out and we look for new rentals and we make sure all of them have an account. So, when there's changes, and again, like your question earlier, what's the biggest challenge? It's keeping up with the changes and, all of the new legislation changed and statutes that are changed. So we just keep an eye on that for things that we do, So business tax receipts, for example, it's a flat fee. Tourist development is now 5%. It used to be 4% for the county and 6% out at the World Golf Village area. Now it's just a flat 5%. So anytime there's a change like that, we definitely regroup and see how we can best approach that. Okay. Yeah.
Anything we haven't touched on that you'd like to get out?
I would love to talk about 3 programs that we have talking about innovation, right? So we have certified car seat technicians that through our Project Buckle Up program that will install or make sure your car seat is in your vehicle properly for parents or caregivers. So a lot of new parents will come to us, grandparents will come to us, and we'll show them how to properly install that car seat so that the child's riding safely. We also offer driver education. We're the only tax collector's office in the state to have a driver education program. So we're actually a third-party driving school approved through FLHSMV. We go into every St. Johns County high school. There's 2 phases. Phase 1 is our learner's license. So you go in the morning before school and you take a class. And at the end of the class, it's for 2 weeks. You take your test. If you pass, you come in and just get your learner's license. So that saves you time in our office. And you also are educated through our curriculum. And then we have a phase 2 program, which is actually behind the wheel. So that is, we have a couple different ones. We have one that's only a track day where you go out to our track and you do maneuvers and you learn about what's under the hood and all that good stuff. And then we also have where we go into the high schools. The children meet us after school at their school, and we take them on the road. So we do a track day for the first day, and then we go out on the road. We drive in neighborhoods. We drive downtown. We drive on interstates. And so that gives that student confidence. And at the end of that, we also give them their road test. So if they pass that, they just come in and get their license, which saves time. And then we also partner with the sheriff's office in the reentry program. And so they have a reentry program where they'll identify an individual who may be close to release, and they need an ID card. And, without an identification card, you can't do much. You can't open a bank account. You can't get a job.
One of our big things with Home Again. And our new property, that's one of the things we wanted to kind of.
That new property is so awesome.
Yeah, we're
Kudos.
excited about it.
Yes. But anyway, so if they identify this individual and they're eligible to get an identification card, what we did was we installed a camera over at the sheriff's office reentry center. So the person does not have to leave the jail. They just go into the specified area. We take their picture, we issue their ID card, and then the sheriff's office will run over and get it. So facilitates that person when they get out.
That's
wonderful.
awesome.
Yeah.
I have a follow-up question on the driver's school. I'm a homeschool parent, and I'm in the homeschool world in St. Johns County. So how would homeschool students access that driver's education if they're not attached to a high school?
That is a great question. So we do accommodate that. What we ask you to do is pick a school, or, this program fills up so fast because the third-party driving schools that are out there are so expensive. This is affordable. It's through your tax collector's office. So what we would do is, if you could come to a school that maybe isn't full, we'd ask, hey, can you meet us here and drop off and pick up your child here?
Okay.
We are also coming up with some ideas, maybe to do something for homeschool children, maybe during the day.
Yeah.
Would private schools fall under that too, like a St. Joe, or do you have somebody at St. Joe?
No, we do not have anybody at St. Joe. It's all St. Johns County high schools.
It would be similar with private schools.
Yes.
They'd have to go.
Yes.
They'd have to go to. Okay.
Right.
All right.
The program does fill up fast, but if we can accommodate somebody, we certainly try to.
Okay, awesome. So would they communicate with you directly to figure out logistically where they need to go?
So on our website, we do have a driver education page,
Okay.
sjctax.us.
Okay.
And if you go to our driver education page, there's some contact information there. Our driver education director is wonderful, and she'll reach out and can, see if we have anything.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Thank you for that.
Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much.
Sure.
And thank you for coming in. And you're
Thank you
always,
for having me.
welcome. And, come back in and spend some time with us. It was,
Thank you.
everybody had a lot of questions for you in there, and they were very nostalgic today with the whole courthouse.
I know. I'm very nostalgic also about it.
Yeah.
Just watching the county grow like it has.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.